We're starting Chavav Amid Bais 26b. We actually started the new parak. We learned how long you have to keep the Bechor in the care of its own mother, or with the owner, before you give it to the Kohen. And the significance of that is because he has to hold it until it gets a mom, B'zman hazeh. So he would have to take care of it until it gets some sort of blemish with that, where it's not fit for a sacrifice, and then he can eat it. It's not like you can just take it and and slaughter it. You can't do that. So he has to wait for it to get a mum.
He being
the Kohen.
The Kohen.
The Kohen can't just take it and slaughter it. So someone's got to maintain this animal until it gets a mum. So the Yisrael was supposed to hold it for 30 days, or 50 days if it's a large animal, or 2 months if, according to Rabbi, I think. According to Rabbi. Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Minions downstairs, though, right?
Could be.
That's what confused me.
So, and we learned this from Sukkim. So, Tanya, over here it says Tanya Nami Hachi. Let's see, that's about 12 lines up, 15 lines up. 14 lines. It says Tanya Nami Hachi, but actually it has to be corrected to Tanya Kavasei de Rava. We learned in a Bais according to Rava. Rava was the one that said yesterday that how do we know that an ox you need to hold on to for 50 days before you give it to the Kohen, and a small animal, sheep, you hold on to for 30 days? Because the way the pasuk was worded, it says, "Kain tasa l'sharcha," so you shall do for your ox. So you shall do for your ox. That extra you shall do means that you have to keep it for longer. So, Tani Kavasei de Rava, Bechor banecha titinli, your firstborn son you give to me, Kain tasa l'tzaincha, so you shall do for your sheep. Yachal af l'sharcha, maybe also for your ox. Talmud Leimer tasa, it says, you shall do. For your ox you have to do extra. So the Kain Tasa, so you shall do, is a continuation from Bechor banecha titinli, that your firstborn son you give to me, so you shall do for your sheep. That means you wait 30 days, just like for a child. When do you, how long do you wait before you redeem the child from the Kohen? 30 days. Kain Tasa l'tzaincha, so you shall do for your, it's really like de-emphasizing the Tasa. Kain l'tzaincha, so for your sheep. And then it says, and then we take back the pasuk that says Kain tasa l'sharcha, for your ox you have to do something extra. Where do we get 50 from? That the sages interpreted. Mikan Amra, from here they said, how long does a Jew need to, how do they translate tipul?
Obligate?
Yeah, but to take care of.
Obligated to care.
To care. So that's 30 days. And if it's a large animal, it's 50 days. Rabbi Yosi says if it's a small animal, it's 3 months. Because it's a big job to take care of a small animal. And the Shita Mekubetzes adds in the word my taima Yiralef. My mipnei shetipula miruba. He adds in those words. So what does it mean that it's a big job, that it's a lot of care? It says Tana pnei shashina adakas, because it can't chew. So it needs its mother. It needs to be fed by hand. You know, I guess you have to serve it baby food.
So it's saying because its teeth are delicate or small. Teeth are small. So,
what is it saying there?
The teeth are thin.
Are thin.
what does it say?
Its teeth are thin.
That's interesting. What is this?
not eat grass on its own.
That's why it would usually have its mother's milk, plus whatever other things there are soft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now the Mishnah says,
Who knew?
let's say the Kayin says during the 30 days or during the 50 days or during the 3 months, according to Rabbi, the Kayin says, Eily, give it to me. I'll take care of it, don't worry. So, you're not supposed to give it to him. You're supposed to wait. My timer, what's the reason? It appears to be like a Kayin that's helping out in the granary. Like we explained, and we'll get the source of the problem right here. Tanu Rabbana, the rabbis taught in a Braisa. HaKayanim v'alavim v'aniyim. All of these people, the Kayanim, the Leviim, and the poor people, they get gifts from the Yisraelim. So Hamasayim bebeis harayim, if they're helping in the shepherd's house, now that would be referring to a Kayan that would possibly get the Bechar. Bebeis hagranis, in the granary, that could be referring to whether Kayan, Levi, or Ani that's trying to get one of the Trumas or the Maisers, or the Maiser Ani goes to the poor. Bebeis mitbachayim, or in the slaughterhouse, this would be referring to a Kayan that gets the Zrei L'Chayim in the Keva. Ein Naisalem Trumas u'Maiser b'scharan. If these fellows are helping out in these positions, you shouldn't give them the Trumas u'Maisers as their payment, because they shouldn't be getting payment. They should be getting Trumas u'Maisers as a gift, not as payment for their work. There's got to be examples of this today. These things, there could be obligations anyway, and then they use it as payment. The Meisin Kain, and if you do that, Chilaloi, then you've profaned or mundane. You've made mundane the holiness of these items. And regarding this, the pasuk says, "Shichatem bris halevi." Shichatem means you have corrupted. Shiches, you have corrupted the covenant with the tribe of Levi. It also says, it says in the pasuk that the holies of the Jewish people you should not profane and you shall not die. Why do we need a second pasuk? It says the answer is because if you would say misalai, that there's no death penalty by this. If someone tries to pay the Kayan or the Levi with the Trumas and Maisers, Tashema, the pasuk says, it comes to teach us, maybe it's Talmud Laimar or something, comes to tell us that no, don't profane it and you won't die. It means that if you do, then there's something similar to the death penalty, which is, of course, death penalty by heaven. It doesn't really mean the death penalty. It doesn't even mean the death penalty by heaven. It means something like you're getting close to that. Ubiksha Chachamim, I forget where I saw that.
Toshvas.
Oh yeah?
It says Toshvas.
Lav Dafka, that's what I saw. Okay. Thank you. Ubiksha Chachamim Lekainsan Lias Machisham Aleim Truma Mishalahem. I have to add in the hay into that word. From the Shita Mikubetzes. The sages wanted to make a fine on them that they should have to separate Truma again from their own stock. The owners of this property that gave payment to the Kohen and Levi from Truma, the sages wanted to make a fine that they should have to take again from their own items to give Truma. And with Pneima like Kantum, so why didn't the sages do that? Why are they saying this and not doing it? It says, Dilmasi lafrushim in a pater alachiv, there's a problem. If we make a fine that they have to do it again, it's very possible that they may have some items that Truma wasn't really taken. And they'll say, look, I have to take Truma again. Now I have items that Truma wasn't taken. I'll take Truma again, and I'll cover those items that Truma wasn't taken from. And the problem is that you'll be taken from min ha-pater alachiv, because you really did take truma. The rabbis just want to get you not to do this again, so they put a fine on you. They imposed the fine. But you can't take truma from something that's already exempt onto something that's not exempt. And so here you would end up taking a second time, but really it was exempt. So that's why they didn't impose this fine, because it would be confusing what this truma would cover. Now it says, "B'kulan yesh bem teva sana." By all of these things, there is a teva sana. Teva sana means that you do get a little bit of benefit from who you decide to give it to. In other words, that has value. There is a value to choosing which Kohen you want to give it to. Like you may be able to get some benefit if someone tells you, give it to such and such a Kohen. I'll say, oh, well, what are you going to give me for that? And I'll give it to him. That choice, that's called Teva Sana, that power to choose of which, let's say you have, you're in charge of some rich guy's tzedakah fund. So you don't have any money. It's all not yours. It's all someone else's. But you do get to make some choices there. So that has value also, because you may be able to get something by choosing this or choosing that.
I'm sorry. I don't, What does this have to do with the discussion about maintaining it?
How long you keep the Bechor? We're talking about...
What's the point?
Excuse me, gentlemen. Is Minion downstairs too?
Yes.
Thank you.
Because that's what you just said. That's the other benefit. In other words, you still have to give truma. You still have to give the matanas. You still have to give bechoros. We went from the truma back to. We went off to the truma from the subject at hand, bechoros. So,
if the Kohen is taking care of it, you're giving the truma to him. It looks like It looks like not a present. It looks like partial payment for his taking care of the animal.
Yeah.
Like a wage. Like you're saying, oh, I'm choosing you as the Kohen because you took care of my animal, and therefore, it's a quid pro quo or something like that.
I know it's what it says. I don't really see the logic of this.
Because he did you a favor. He's taking care of your animal that you're supposed to be taking care of, and then it looks like, oh, I'm choosing to give you the matana or the meiser or truma because you did me a favor. So it looks like a payment. It looks like a direct payment.
No, I get the logic, but if I say I'm going to give you my car, but by the way, you need to put gas in it and pay for insurance.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the fact that I gave you something of,
But it's like if I say,
value.
I'm going to have you as a guest for Shabbos, and I'm getting a mitzvah for having a guest, but at the same time you come and say to me, I'm giving you money. So all of a sudden, where's the mitzvah? You gave me money to have you as a guest, and you're exchanging the wage of the taking care of the animal for the fact that I'm choosing you to be the Kohen that I'm going to give my meiser to.
Yeah, my basic question though is, what does the fact that I choose what Kohen to give it to, how does that affect the
It has to
entire?
be a free choice.
How does it affect the whole discussion?
That's what the Gemara is going to explain. That although you can't really be influenced by the Kohen working in your place, to then give that can't be part of this. But you can have other influences that could be part of this, and that's the Teva Sana, that there is some other benefits that are permitted. Now let's see, Ketzad. What's an example of that? Yisrael shehifris truma mikirya, I think it's supposed to say. He separates truma from his granary, and the matzi Yisrael acher, and he comes across another Yisrael. V'amrlai. The other Yisrael says, Heilach selazeh, here is for you this sela, nice sized coin, Utineu leben biti kayin, and give the truma that you just separated to my grandson who's a kayin. Why? Because his daughter married a kayin. He wants it to go to his grandson. Why doesn't he want it to go to his son-in-law? I don't know. Mutter. It doesn't say. It could have said my son-in-law.
You haven't married any children yet.
Yeah, okay. I guess this is obvious. So, it's mutter. He's allowed to do this. However, im haya kayin l'kayin, then it's aser. You see, over here, the person that suggested with a coin that you should give this to a certain kohen was not able to receive it himself. However, if another kohen would come and say, give it to he can't give a coin and say, give it to me. That would be a problem. But let's say he would give a coin and say, give it to a different kohen, my cousin, who's also a kohen. That he also can't do. Why? Because we might suspect that maybe the other kohen is doing the same for him at the neighbor, and they're doing it for each other.
They're swapping.
And just the fact that he could do it for himself is not a goimlin, sort of. Right.
What's
the word?
There's a word
You
goimlin,
scratch my back, I'll scratch.
which is if someone comes and one person comes and says, testifies something about the friend, and then the friend testifies about him, whether that they're single or that they're poor or that they're, there's a discussion in the Gemara if you suspect that maybe they're saying this about each other and they've arranged that.
I just see human nature hasn't changed.
Right. As much as it changes, it stays the same. Vitana, my time like Amar Matnanis Kuna. There's a little bit of a question on this brisa. We concluded the brisa, this Tanur Rabbanon, but there's a little bit of a problem because it says Bekulan. The last word on the previous page says Bekulan Yeshlem Tevas Anolabailam. In the example, it only chose to use truma. So the question is that we weren't only talking about truma. We were talking about other things as well, bechor and matanais, and because we were how do we know that? Because we mentioned harayim, beis harayim, beis agronus, beis mitvachaimer in the slaughterhouse. We mentioned other cases. So why doesn't he mention all just Yisrael shehifris matnes kahuna? Make it more broad to include more things. So Amalach, the Tana of the Bais will say truma de kedushas hagufi. Truma is kedushas haguf. It actually has a holiness to it. The kiman delay mitchala, you can't redeem that. It doesn't go off. That you can't say, okay, this truma is going to become mundane, and I'm going to put the holiness on this coin or something. It doesn't work like that. It stays holy. So lo yasi lemitiba. No one's going to make a claim. The grandson is not going to claim that my grandfather redeemed this truma by giving a coin to the coin, because truma doesn't get redeemed like that. This is real truma, and I have to treat it like truma, and I have to give it all its full sanctity. Hani, but when it comes to other matnes kahuna, kivan de kedushas damim ninu, because they just have a value, and there is such a thing as redemption by them, so asilamiti behind, then you may come to make a mistake. I have to change something here. Savar, he might think, mitchal or titchal kedushasayo, arba azuzi, that their holiness has been taken off because of the 4 coins. A seller is 4 zuz. He gave a seller. For some reason, arba azuzi is like more of an expression than a seller. Basil minag by minag chulin, he's going to treat it as chulin. Rashi over here says that what's he going to do? You see, we said that the gifts to the Kohen, the Zrei l'chayayim and the keva, that those meats that go to the Kohen are meant to be eaten roasted and with mustard.
Yeah, so that's cute.
Now,
Station.
yeah, right.
And the pretzel, if you're in Philly.
However, that restriction, that criteria of how it's supposed to be eaten, is only if a Kohen is eating it, not if a Kohen is sharing it with the Yisrael. It doesn't go over like that. Or if it would have been had any sort of redemption. So it's only the Kohen himself that has those restrictions. How does a Kohen eat the matnes kahuna? He has to eat it in the best way, roasted. He has to treat it properly. But over here, it's possible that because his grandfather gave a coin for it, he may end up saying that it's as if it was given to the Yisrael and then back to me, and it doesn't have the same holiness because it's been redeemed because there was an exchange that took place. So therefore, the example that was given here of Tevas Hanel was Truma and not Matnes Kahuna, because we don't want that to happen by Matnes Kahuna, because the grandson, the Kayan, may end up not treating it properly.
Obviously, the grandson knows that his grandfather.
Gave the coin, right?
By the way, if you know Kohanim, you don't have to worry that they're not going to eat it in royal fashion. They sit down themselves.
Cohen's mustard. Okay. Amar Rava. Rava says, Trumas chutz la'aretz ein ba mishum kayin ha'masayeh beis hagranas. Now, I think what's going on here is we don't give truma. We're in chutz la'aretz.
Right.
But I think there's different lands that are close to the land of Israel, where in those lands they did practice the laws of the lands of Israel, but it was all rabbinic. Whether it has to do with when it was conquered, or when whatever it is, they gave those lands close to the land of Israel, maybe Syria and those places, a semi-status of the land of Israel, and you would take trumas in those lands. You would separate the truma, even though they weren't in the land of Israel. And those are rules that only apply to the land of Israel.
Here it says Babylonia and Egypt.
Babylon and Egypt as well. Okay. So comes along Rava, and Rava says, yes, you do take truma. However, you don't have a problem of a Kohen working in the granary getting paid with the truma that you're obligated to take. Because it's rabbinic, and it's not the original truma, you can actually use this truma to pay your Kohen if you have a worker there. So it would be beneficial to have a Kohen worker that you can do both. You can pay him and you can get rid of your truma, which is interesting.
But if you pay him with it, how will you yotze the truma? It's double dipping.
Double dipping. With this, you're allowed to double dip. Trumas chutz la'aretz.
The chutz la'aretz. Oh,
Outside,
okay.
baby.
What?
Outside.
Because it's Madura Rabbanan.
All right.
There's got to be examples of this in American tax law, of like getting away with stuff. You're doing this, and then you're really getting it.
You're writing it off and you use
You
it
had
for
to-
your own benefit.
You had to do that anyway.
Common practice.
Okay. Rav Chama Yov Leila Shami. Rav Chama, I don't know where Rav Chama is in here, but Rav Chama would give it to his servant, and who was a Kohen. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, we're going back a generation or two. Shmuel says, Trumas chutz la'aretz b'teila b'roiv. Trumas chutz la'aretz, usually truma, you need 100 to 1 for it to be nullified. When it comes to truma derabanan, trumas chutz la'aretz, that's batal b'roiv. We actually had this, if you remember, and there was a Rashba that was quoted in Yeridea that talks about by mevatel nisa l'chatchila. The Rashba said that if it's issa derabanan, then you're allowed to be mevatel l'chatchila, which usually you're not. He also mentioned that even things that usually would take 60 or more, but if it's issa derabanan, could be as batal b'roiv. He brought such a shita. Anyway, over here we're saying that it's batal b'roiv, which is a big chiddush. You could take just 1 and 2 is batal. Rabba mevatla b'roiv va'ich b'meit masay. Rabba was a Kohen, came from the house of Eily. He was the one that said before that Rabbi Yosef would test him, right? He would be mevatlet b'roiv, and then he would eat it b'meit masay. Not sure what we're learning from this. That gives mevatlet b'roiv, or that he could eat it b'meit masay. And would he eat it b'meit masay without? Is that one on another? Is that stacked? That after he's mevatlet b'roiv, he would eat it b'meit masay, or without being mevatlet, he would eat it b'meit masay. How do they translate that? Would he eat it when he was tamei,
says-
even without being mevatlet b'roiv, or only together with being mevatlet b'roiv?
It says that he would mevatel it in majority, l'chatchila,
Okay.
and then eat it during his days of tumah.
Oh, and then eat it.
Well, it doesn't say then. It says and eat it during his days of impurity. But he would do this l'chatchila.
I know, but
It
my
wasn't-
question
it
is, would he eat it
wasn't
b'meit tamasi without being mevatlet?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
I don't have to be.
Okay.
And it says here also that He would not give it to a non-Kohen. Even after Bittul, he would eat it himself. He made tumasa, but he would not give it to a non-Kohen.
Oh, so it's pointing out a chumrah as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua, well, we're jumping to the end of the Amorai period. Ki misramila chamra de truma. When he chanced upon, when he had wine of truma, have a rami tray natli de chulin, v'chada natli de truma. He would take 2, what are natli? Is that like spoonfuls?
Jugs.
Jugs. Take 2 jugs of chulin, 1 jug of truma, v'shakel chad mikan, v'shakel chad, and he would take 1 away. Mikan ve'elach rami chada v'shakel chada. So this is what he would do. He had truma of chuslaretz. He would put 1 jug into 2 jugs, into 2 jugs of mundane. Okay, so it's bucket. That's easy. That's no problem. But
It
then
also says that he's not a Kohen.
He wasn't a Kohen? So
Yeah.
what was he doing it for?
I don't know. It says the incident in Rav Huna, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, and there's no evidence that he was a Kohen. And that's likewise indicated in the Yerushalmi that it's permitted to non-Kohanim, this kind of thing.
Oh, but it's his stuff that he was going to give as truma because it was closer to Yisrael. So
Yeah,
it's
but
showing
so
Right.
now he got
But
out
this
of
was
giving
outside.
it?
This is chutzlaretz.
But yeah, maybe Shmuel. What does it say when Shmuel would be mevatel b'rayv? Does it say what he would do with it then? It was Shmuel. Shmuel wasn't a kohen, was he?
Yeah, he says you can even eat it by non-Kohen.
He would. Yeah. So it's a continuation of
Yeah,
Shmuel's
the
rule.
subject.
So what he would do. So far, mevatel b'rayv that we know already, but there's an extra chiddush here. He would then take.
Or Taisus argues, it says it's only for a Kohen, but who's tummy. It's on Shmuel. I
You're
guess
right.
he would give it to a non-Kohen when he's tummy.
Very good. So the chiddush here is from the
Thank you for coming,
Breder.
Yaakov.
So
Thank you
then
for coming. Thank you for coming.
he has
this year.
3 here. 1 truma, 2 of chulin.
Read the Oscar.
Then he comes along and he takes another jug of truma. Well, actually, first he can even take out 1 jug and say, "Oh, I took the jug of chulin." Then he can add in another jug of truma and take out another 1 jug and say, "Oh, I took out the chulin."
Right.
So, even though when you look at the dilution here, the ratio, he's almost all truma,
Truma.
because every time you take out a third,
Right.
you've dropped it down to however you want to work that out.
Yeah.
But so after a while, you're left with no chulin there because you keep adding in another truma one and taking 1 out.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, he's viewing it as the original ratio the whole time, which is a chiddush.
Not like a mikveh. In a mikveh, you have to fill it up with regular water, and then you touch it with the mikveh water.
Right, according
And
to
then it dilutes.
according to the one shita, according to
It
that
dilutes.
shita, yeah. But we don't really. I mean, I don't think that's the shita. We're machmer like that shita.
We're allowed to do it all the time.
Right.
This is a remarkable way of thinking about how to mevatel something.
Yeah, you just keep slowly. You just keep doing that, and each time. See, normally we would say chayzer v'neyar, like we had examples like this before. Water in the tzir. Remember, you added more water. It rejuvenates it. Abaya, it comes back.
It's
And
like
here,
legal pilfering. So, skimming, legal skimming.
It's like kosher bracha. You add a little bit to what's in there, and you're mevateling what you're adding to what's in there. So everything becomes what you're trying
Yeah.
to make.
Yeah, the kosher bracha is like that, exactly.
Like the Rebbe's wine,
The rabbi's wine.
Or Rebbe's water.
vodka. Remember
A little bit, you can make that.
getting Bal Harbour, the vodka.
Doing this.
right. So maybe this is the source. Maybe this is the source, but this would be the opposite.
It's
But-
not a chiddush that adding a drop to a bottle, adding a drop to here, the drop is mevatel. Now I add another drop, and that's mevatel. And I can keep adding a long time
except for what we learned
It's still
before,
maratal.
is that it's chayzer b'neyar, that it rejuvenates the old.
Under that theory.
Right.
Under that theory.
But you have to. Here we have when do you say this, when do you say that? Yeah, that's the. So here, because it's only rabbinic, so we accept this approach. So it's a weakness in the Rebbe's wine that it's only rabbinically holy. Otherwise, we would say that if it would be biblically, then we would look at it the other way. Maybe we shouldn't do it. Maybe we should just drink it straight.
But it's because it's chutz la'aretz, maybe.
Yeah, but that
Yeah, but
that makes
eventually
it.
that's going to disappear if you just drink it straight.
Yeah.
Okay. V'amar Shmuel. So I'm sorry. V'amar Shmuel. Yeah. Trumas chutz la'aretz oichel v'helech v'achkach mafresh. You have a chiddush here. Someone actually just asked me on Shabbos. His wife forgot to take challah, and on Shabbos you're not allowed to take challah. You can't be Messiah. You can't take. You can't separate. So I think in the Kitzur it says what to do. It says you just eat, leave over one piece, and after
Don't you
Shabbos
leave
you
the corner
separate.
of the-
Yeah, you separate that piece as challah, but you leave over a piece. So here, this is maybe taken from here.
I thought that's
That-
what the minhag
To do what?
was. I thought the minhag was that you'd always chop off a little corner and just leave it just in case challah wasn't taken.
Oh, I never heard that. I never heard that. I thought the reason why you cut it like that is because during the week you cut off a small piece and eat the small piece, and on Shabbos you cut off the big piece, and that's what I was told. So Shmuel says that you can eat and then you'll separate it later.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Naftali, you missing something?
That's all right. I'll find it. It's all right.
No, it's not a contact lens.
In the bottom of a swimming pool.
You would think, Phil,
So
it was just in there a second ago.
Yeah, I checked it out. I'm missing the
Sure, so okay, so you can continue eating, and then you'll separate it. You'll separate it later. V'amar Shmuel, ain't trumas chutz la'aretz asura el b'misha tuma yotzelav migufay. The only issue trumas chutz la'aretz is if someone is tamei because his body's tamei. That means like he's a balkari or something, or he had a mission that makes him impure. Bahani mili ba'achila, and even then, the only problem would be to eat it. Aval b'negia leslamba, but there's still no problem to touch the truma of chutz la'aretz, even if you have this tuma. Ravina then goes on to elaborate. Hilkach nida koitza. What's this here? Koitza lachala. A woman that's a nida can separate challah. She can knead the dough